So I thought we would just sit here as I roast marshmallows and talk a little bit about Chapter 5. So I started Fortnite a little late. I didn't start playing the game until Chapter 3, Season 3. So because of that, I didn't have a ton of experience with Fortnite. In fact, Chapter 4 is the first chapter that I've experienced start to finish. So I didn't have a ton of content to compare it to, but even still, when Chapter 5 first dropped, I felt pretty confident within the first 2 or 3 weeks that while I did like the map, I didn't love it. And while I did like that first season of this chapter, I didn't feel like it was nearly as good as what we had just had, either in Season OG or in Chapter 4, Season 4. I felt like it was a downgrade. But even that being said, I tried to do my best to embrace the map, embrace the new metas, and sort of gave it a chance. One thing that probably separated me from a lot of the other people was I actually did not have a problem with the change from hit scan to projectile weapons. I actually enjoyed the bullet drop. For whatever reason, I found like I could sort of manipulate the bullet drop in my favor on a lot of my favorite weapons, and it just I didn't struggle with it that much. You know, I didn't take a ton of really long range shots. I wasn't a sniper, so I didn't really have to deal with the bullet drop too much. I tend to be more of a medium to close range guy, so because of that, I did not hate the new weapons. I did thoroughly enjoy the weapon attachment system. Of course, the only problem with that was there just didn't seem to be enough mod benches on the island. I did enjoy the new POIs, although I felt like it was just a little bit too homogenized. You know, everything sort of took on that sort of European type vibe. A lot of it had a bit of that Mediterranean European type vibe, although, you know, you had Hazy Hillside, which had more of that German type architecture, but definitely had more of that sort of European type architecture and style. And because of that, I felt like it suffered from one of the same problems that Chapter 4 suffered with in Season 1, which was the map not feeling like it had enough variety on it. So much like I did in Chapter 4, Season 1, I kind of decided to withhold judgment until Season 2 dropped. I figured Season 2 would be the deciding factor for me, which, as it turns out, Season 2 was not my favorite season. In fact, I would actually rank Season 2 as my least favorite season this chapter, even more so than Wrecked. Wrecked at least kept my interest and kept me playing. Myths and Mortals, I literally lost interest in it after my very first session of only 3 or 4 games. I just didn't care. I didn't care about the new POIs or the map changes. I didn't care about the new mythics. I was already someone that didn't really care about the medallions anyway. I just didn't find anything in Season 2 that kept me interested in the game. And as it were, that ended up being the season that I played the game the least. Truth be told, when we started moving into Season 3, I really didn't have that much of an expectation going in. And maybe that's the reason I ended up enjoying it as much as I did. I just decided I was going to kind of let it be what it was. I thought it was more fun than Myths and Mortals. I also thought it was more frustrating than Myths and Mortals. The cars, the Nitro Fists, they were definitely, overpowered items, and they definitely could make the game very frustrating to play at times. But I also really liked the map changes that came with Season 3. I liked the new desert biome. I liked the new POIs. I even really liked the changes they made to Snooty Steps to turn it into Sandy Steps. I thought overall it was a positive change for the map, whereas with Season 2, Myths and Mortals, I didn't feel like that was much of a positive change at all. That being said, I, like everyone else, was very much looking forward to getting out of Season 3 as quickly as I could, which of course brings us to Season 4, Absolute Doom. It's been fun, but I don't feel like it's been nearly as fun as it could have been, or perhaps it should have been. I've enjoyed the new POIs to a degree, but I still pretty much avoid them, much like I have most of the major sort of medallion POIs on this map, which is most of the major POIs at this point. I haven't really gotten too much into the Marvel items. I've enjoyed them, I've used them, I've had fun with them, but overall, I still like to play the same sort of basic game that I've always played. I really just want a couple guns and I want some heals. I'm not trying to have jetpacks or Doom gauntlets or Captain America shields or Shuri claws. That's just not really the type of weapons I like to use, when I'm playing Fortnite. So, things that I think they did well in Chapter 5. I do think they did a good job with the POIs, just because they didn't particularly speak to me in a lot of ways. Doesn't mean they weren't great POIs. I thought they were really good POIs. And I thought that they were good, a good balance between the more complicated, complex POIs that we had in Chapter 4 and the more basic POIs that we had in OG. As I said, I really like the weapon mod system. I think that should continue in Chapter 6. I just think it should be improved by having mod benches all over the map. And I especially think that they should be mod benches that can be accessed basically from the start of the game. Sure, if you need to kill a boss or a guard or something to get a keycard or a medallion to open a vault to get to him, that's fine. But you shouldn't have to wait until 3/4 of the way through the game to mod out your weapon. That just doesn't make any sense. But ultimately, at the end of the day, Chapter 5 wasn't all bad. I think the live events really added some much needed life to the game and to the storyline, even if the storyline hasn't always made sense. And at the end of the day, I really hope, and dare I say, I think that Epic is going to do great things in Chapter 6. I think that they've learned a lot from this chapter. I think they've listened to the community, and I think that Chapter 6 is going to be the best Fortnite that we have seen, at least in the modern era. I'm sure it won't be better than Chapter 1 or Chapter 2, but I think it's definitely going to be better than Chapter 5. So I guess I'm just going to end this right here, even though my game's not over. There's only 30 players left, and I've still got Zone. But that's pretty much all I wanted to say on Chapter 5. So if you guys haven't already, please like and subscribe. Follow me on Twitch if you haven't already. Same name as my YouTube, JackGalactic123. And we'll see you in the next video. Peace.